Right now, you are probably not hungry, and if you were, you would do something about it within minutes. You would open a fridge, tear open a packet, tap an app, and food would arrive. You never have to wonder where your next meal is coming from. That certainty feels like the most normal thing in the world. But for around 95% of human history, it did not exist. Your ancestors woke up most mornings not knowing if they would eat that day, and their bodies, over hundreds of thousands of years, built an entire hidden system to survive that uncertainty. By the end of this, you will understand why you store fat so easily, why hunger feels like panic, and why your own body is still behaving as if the next famine could start tomorrow. Start with what hunger actually was before farming. For most of the human story, your ancestors were foragers. They did not own food, they found it. A good day might mean a kill, a tree heavy with fruit, a nest full of honey. A bad week might mean almost nothing. There was no storage, no pantry, no guaranteed tomorrow. The gap between meals was not measured in hours. It was measured in luck. And this was not rare hardship. It was the baseline condition of being human. Anthropologists who study modern foraging groups give us the closest window we have. Among the Hadza of Tanzania, studied for decades by researchers including Frank Marlowe at Cambridge. Food intake swings wildly from day to day. Some days are abundant, many are lean. The body that you are sitting in was shaped by hundreds of thousands of days exactly like that. So your body did something remarkable. It stopped trusting the world to feed it on schedule, and it built its own internal accounting system instead. That system did not just track how much you ate. It learned to predict scarcity and prepare for it in advance. At the center of it is a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is produced mostly in the lining of your stomach, and it is the closest thing you have to a hunger signal. When your stomach is empty, ghrelin rises, and it tells your brain to find food. In 1999, a team led by Masayasu Kojima in Japan first identified it, and what they found was not a simple on-off switch. Ghrelin does not just spike when you are empty. It rises in anticipation of meals you normally eat. If you always eat at 1 o'clock, your ghrelin starts climbing before 1 o'clock, before your stomach is even empty. Your body learned to get hungry on a schedule, so that you would go looking for food before the emergency arrived. The hunger you feel at lunchtime is often not your body running out of fuel. It is your body predicting that fuel is about to be needed, and pushing you to act early. That is not a flaw. That is a survival forecast, written into you by ancestors who could not afford to wait until they were truly empty. And ghrelin is only the alarm. The real genius of the system is what your body does with food once it finally arrives. When your ancestors found a surplus, a fat-rich kill, or a glut of ripe fruit, their bodies did not waste it. They converted the excess into fat and stored it on the body. Because fat is the most efficient energy store biology has ever produced. 1 gram of fat holds more than twice the energy of 1 gram of carbohydrate or protein. For a creature that never knew when it would eat again, a layer of stored fat was not a cosmetic problem. It was a savings account. It was the difference between surviving a bad month and not surviving it. This is why your body makes storing fat almost effortless and burning it strangely difficult. From an evolutionary view, that asymmetry is not a malfunction. It is the whole point. A body that stored eagerly and released reluctantly was a body that lived through famine. A body that burned through its reserves at the first quiet day did not pass on its genes. And here is where the deep past reaches directly into your modern life. In 1962, a geneticist named James Neal proposed something he called the thrifty gene hypothesis. His idea was simple. For almost all of human history, the people who survived best were the ones whose bodies were thriftiest, who stored energy fast in times of plenty and clung to it hard in times of scarcity. Those thrifty bodies were rewarded by evolution for tens of thousands of generations. So the genes that build them are still, overwhelmingly, the genes that you carry. The problem is that those bodies were designed for a world that no longer exists. Your metabolism is running software written for famine inside a world of permanent surplus. Your body cannot tell the difference. It does not know that the famine is never coming. So when you eat far more than you burn, your ancient systems do exactly what they were built to do. They store the surplus with delight, and they guard it ferociously. The same machinery that saved your ancestors is the machinery that makes a modern diet so hard to sustain. This is also why dieting can feel like a fight against yourself, because in a sense it is. When you cut your intake, your body does not interpret that as a healthy choice. It interprets it as the famine finally arriving. Ghrelin rises, hunger sharpens. Your metabolism quietly slows to conserve fuel. Research by Rudolf Leibel at Columbia University has shown that when people lose weight, their bodies burn measurably fewer calories than expected, and their hunger hormones climb, as if the body is actively fighting to pull the lost weight back. Your body is not betraying you. It is protecting you, using rules written for a world of scarcity. And the cravings make sense too. Why do you reach for sugar and fat and salt, almost never for plain vegetables? Because for your ancestors, sweetness meant rare safe calories in ripe fruit. Fat meant the energy jackpot of a good kill. Salt was scarce and essential. The foods you crave most intensely are the foods that were hardest to find and most valuable to survival. Your cravings are not weakness. They are a map of what kept your ancestors alive, drawn in a world where those things were rare. The modern world simply made all of them available at once, all the time, on every corner. So sit with what that means. You are not a person who happens to like food too much. You are the descendant of a long, unbroken line of survivors, every one of whom lived long enough to reproduce partly because their bodies were brilliant at finding, storing, and protecting energy. That brilliance is your inheritance. It is the reason you exist at all. It just happens to be running in a world it was never designed for. So tonight, when you open the fridge without a second thought, notice the thing your ancestors could almost never count on: certainty. The quiet, astonishing certainty that there will be food, and there will be food again tomorrow. The hunger you feel is older than farming, older than language, older than your species in its current form. It is one of the oldest conversations your body knows how to have. And for the first time in the entire human story, you get to have that conversation from a position your ancestors could only dream of. Full, safe, and certain of the next meal. What surprised you most about the way your body handles hunger?